Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for More Survivalists, and this is going to be a pocket EDC update. It's a couple tips and some thoughts thrown in there as well. Now, first let's get through the stuff that really hasn't changed a whole lot. Still using the same wallet, which I bought like a dozen wallets, and there was always something that wasn't all right with them. Now I have this one that has this compartment so as to have even more cards placed in that direction so as to not have them drop, and I have my coin pocket here as well, which is very convenient because I like having coins. They're handy for a bunch of things. I also have my same house keys. These are still the pretty much same setup. First of all, the Victorinox Mini Champ, which is still as handy as it was many years ago when I first started using one. This one is, I think it's the latest version because it has the tweezers and the pen. This is the combination that I find most useful. There's another one that has a button here and an LED light, but I have lights all over the place, and I have a very good one here in the keychain itselth. This is a Through Night T. This uses a AAA battery and gives like 150 or 160 lumens. First tip right here is don't use just any battery. Replace it with a rechargeable one. These ones don't leak, and I got fed up of always, every once in a while a battery leaking and making a big mess, if not downright ruining your flashlight. This one also happens to be made of titanium, which looks much nicer, and as time goes by, as years even go by, it's not looking as bad as some of the ones that have like this anodized finish, which sooner rather than later starts chipping and the aluminum starts showing. Just doesn't look as neat, clean as titanium. The titanium lighter as well here in the peanut lighter, and a little pry bar, Pico pry bar, so as to spare the tip of the little Mini Champ if this is all I have and I have to pry something, use a little bit more of force. This every once in a while comes in handy. So keychain setup, and again, in terms of philosophy of use of how you go about this EDC setup, I think of it in terms of layers, as having backup to the backup, spares. In terms of if I'm only leaving my house, I'm going to be having at the very least my house keys, and in there I'm going to be having a knife, way of starting fire, and a flashlight. These would be the minimum tools I like to have with me. Then I have better versions of these in the rest of my pocket EDC, but this is the idea of having backups and having different layers in case you screw up, you mess up. Perfect example, this knife right here, the zero tolerance 0620. I honestly haven't been using it a whole lot. I've left it in a drawer a few weeks ago, and for the last few weeks I haven't been carrying my my folder. I've just been getting along with my Leatherman Charge TTI, and yes, for most practical purposes, in fact, I had this multi-tool with me a few weeks ago. I don't know if I mentioned this or not. There was this, we were in a mall, there was this escalator, there was a kid with his mother, a teenager with his mother right in front of us, and right in front of us, his shoelace, which was loose, got caught in the escalator. The mom reacted quickly and pressed the stop button, but she was quite desperate because she simply could not pull out her son's foot. Now, I didn't even ask her anything. I was just behind them and saw what was happening, just used a blade and cut through it, and she reacted, she was like as if I had saved the kid's life. Actually, she was the one that did the most important thing, which was reacting and stopping the escalator. But it just came in handy for that sort of thing. And cords getting around people's necks, cloth, clothes, scarves, whatnot. You simply do not know what an emergency, that's the nature of it, what it will be about. But a cutting tool, and especially one that is handy, easy to reach, fast, that's the advantage of having a pocket clip. If this same multi-tool had been in a bag, and it takes you 2 minutes or even 30 seconds to get to it, that may make the difference between getting your foot caught in a very powerful machine or not. So you need to quickly access a cutting blade. 5 minutes already into it, I'm already rambling, but guys, that's the way I am. Sorry for that. The keys are kept in this bag, which I like because it stops the rattling and it stops the keys from poking holes through my pockets, and it also gives me a little bit of room so as to have my headphones, which it's not that I'm using it, it's just that I want to have them because these work as an antenna for my cell phone, which is, as of a few months ago, it's this one. It's LG G6, which is just a fantastic phone. It has a great camera, big screen, actually a little bit bigger than my older phone, and just could not be happier with it. It's very fast to access with that fingerprint detector, 2 cameras, which surprisingly I'm using these quite a lot because sometimes you want to get a good picture, you have your cell phone with it, but you need that panoramic view because of the conditions call for that, and you have it there, and it's just so nice to have that. More related to what we're about here in the channel in terms of preparedness, it's a waterproof phone. Yes, it rains here as well, and like in you just never know these things. If you get caught by a storm, if there's something even more serious in terms of flooding, as we've seen in many places these last few months. I combine it with this what's called Beacon case. It's like I think it's the light armor case. I've dropped it a few times. The phone is tough enough already. With this case added and the tempered glass that I added as well, tempered glass, and this just works beautifully for a tough yet light, comfortable phone, so as to have with you, basically all the time without a problem. Much more compact than my older Note 2 phone. Car keys, still, I think it's the same thing, and I have this little flashlight. I don't use it all that much, but every now and then it just still comes in handy, and simply because of that, I keep it there. Not as nice as some of the finer materials, like a little titanium light that would be even nicer. I have my Vault Dweller guy reminding me to practice, and has that very neat target shooting stance. And the car, well, the car, I don't know if it's not pocket EDC, but still a very nice, good car. Highly recommended the Honda CR-V small sports utility vehicle. Pocket piece, my silver $50 Kennedy 1964. I don't know why, but it always ends up in my pocket. Not so much my lighter. I haven't been taking. These two would be the ones that I just brought them here simply so as to remind myself and you to always keep it honest. If you haven't been carrying these, just be honest about it yourself. Now, after many years of experience, I just understand that if I screw up enough, one day I'm going to be regretting it. I screw up by not having my folder with me, and my backup saves the day, right? Now, you can only get away with that up to a point. If you leave this behind, and all you have to cut yourself free from a tight spot is your little mini champ, it's gonna be a little bit more complicated than it seems. The flashlight has been a ThruNite T10T, very dependable flashlight, very bright, slick looking, nice. Again, same thing here. Use a good battery, something that's not going to be leaking. In this case, I'm using a lithium ion battery, which is a 14500, which gives me a bit more lumen in the flashlight. Just not using a standard AA battery. And you have to recharge it a little bit more often, but I'm happy with that because I'd rather have that and have less lumens, shall we say. Whistle, so important. Just find a way to include a whistle in your kit. I haven't used it once. It's one of those things that, in all honesty, I haven't have the need to use the whistle. But basic understanding of survival and preparedness says you have to have a whistle with you at all times. The day you need this thing, it's the day that's going to be saving your life, right? It's rarely the case, you know, some of the other stuff here which you use, you know, on your daily normal routine, and it may be handy and maybe even crucial during an emergency, but this is the kind of stuff that it definitely may end up saving your life one day, even though you don't use it for years. And shades, my sunglasses, these would be my Wiley X Valor now. My revolvers are going to be left behind from now on. These look fantastic, by the way. They look very good, and the field of view is great. One of the things that I like is I got the polarized version, right? They sell these same ones a little bit cheaper. I think it's like 60 bucks for and I'm gonna be leaving the link in Amazon. I screwed up in the previous video, said eBay. No, I'm gonna be leaving the link in Amazon for you guys to check this out and some of the other stuff that I think is worth looking into. But in Amazon you see the Valor ones either with polarized lenses or standard lenses. 60 bucks for the standard ones. I think it's like 80 for the polarized. Buy the polarized lenses because it's absolutely worth it. The difference when driving, when just you know, it just makes a huge difference. The polarized lens, what it does is it gets rid of that glare. When there's something very bright and shiny, it just gets rid of that glare and gives you a lot more definition and detail in those places that otherwise would be washed out by the bright lights. And the effect when actually using these it's amazing. I mean, you really do tell the difference between having these or not. And besides that, they have fantastic field of view, and they are ballistic sunglasses as well, which is always nice to have. I think I've covered everything. My watch, someone was asking, this is the Casio Pro Trek Tough Solar. It's solar. You have a compass in here as well. It has barometric pressure, which ends up telling you when the weather is going to be getting a little bit, you know, storms heading your way. A altimeter as well, and yeah, the compass. And you have also that the sea tide graphic there, where, you know, if you're living in the coast, that can be quite handy as well. And this is all titanium. It's very light. Even though it looks quite bulky, it's extremely light as well, and doesn't look half bad either. Solar, so you're not recharging the battery, still holding on after several years in the high point there, as it's being marked by that little spot right there. I've been looking at other watches, to be honest, something, you know, to change a little bit, something nice. The thing is, this is one of the watches that has the most functions. You know, being solar, having all those things going on for it, it's just hard to beat as a practical use watch. Finally, one thing that I like to mention is whatever blade you're carrying. You know, I have this one that's just kept for emergencies. It's kept very sharp, pretty much unused. For any daily task, I'm going to be using the blade in my charge. Now, the blade in your charge has to be kept razor sharp as well, because in certain occasions when you need it for those emergencies, as it actually happened to me quite recently, you want that blade to be very, very sharp. Just as soon as you touch anything that you need cutting, you want that blade to go right through it like a lightsaber. The only way you achieve that is by having this extremely sharp. And I know it's not always that easy. I know it's a skill that takes many years to develop fully and really understand how different steels work, the different sharpening methods, and you know, don't want to be getting into all that. One of the most simple ways to keep this blade razor sharp is using the Victorinox sharpener. Even if you're very limited in your skill of sharpening and such, this is very cheap. Again, gonna be leaving the link for this as well below in Amazon. I've had it for years, used it many times for all sorts of blades. Actually, it just works, and it works very well. What it has is sort of like a pen, but here you have a very simple double, you know, a piece of ceramic, of sharpening ceramic, and with your thinner blades, like in your typical Victorinox knife, you just pass it like that. You know, just like a kitchen knife, I suppose. You just pass it, and with a couple of soft passes, it's going to be putting an edge again. It's not going to be doing a fantastic job at it, but it's going to be sharp. Now, for other knives, one of the things that you have is this ceramic rod, which sharpens beautifully. And what you do is just you pass it in this direction, just a couple of those passes. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4. You just start passing it like that, in that direction, and I don't know, 5, 6, 10, 20, depending on how much, you know, sharpening you need. But doing this, it's gonna be leaving the knife razor sharp. There's other things you can do, such as, you know, stopping the blade and that sort of thing, but for most practical intended uses, just doing this with the knife, just like so, it's gonna be enough. I mean, even I've used the plastic even so as to go against the grain and remove any little particles left, but just going in this direction is gonna be getting the job done. So folks, that's gonna be all for now. I hope you enjoyed this little video. Take care, subscribe, thumbs up if you liked it. See you on our next video.